Welcome back to day 4, hump day. It's already the middle of our week. We've made it 4 days in on our Hitchhiker's Guide to Chernarus. Kamyshovo, I know. Day 4. And our first 3 days were dictated by a few decisions and choices we made along the way. And today, I'm going to talk about things more than I have before because, well, we just started this journey. And when you start a new journey in DayZ, there's so many things to weigh, so many options, so many directions. And I kind of skip over, well, I have skipped over thus far a lot of smaller, finer points. And I find those to be just as important as far as informing all of your decisions. So I think today we're going to start with a little bit of conversation. First of all, since we have just started, day 4, technically it's like 12 hours of gameplay for me, 18 to 20 hours of gameplay, I would say. The first 2 days were about 6 hours apiece. Day 3 was, I guess, about the same, but cut down more for the video. But anyway, I digress. What do you do when you start? Most of us start at the beach. Almost all of us start at the beach. You might be lucky enough to start right outside of town. As I did with this playthrough, I started right there on the beach, right outside of Kambiwobo. I knew where I was immediately, and that was only because of my previous knowledge of the map. However, it will become important to familiarize yourself with all of the spawn area beaches, the main towns, the docks. It will be very helpful in the future to know when you spawn, oh, I know exactly where I'm at, and I can make my decision from there. Do I F11, or is this close to what I want to do? Before you even get there, though, let's say you're new. Some of you actually might be new to DayZ and you've come here first. Well, if you're new, you don't even know what to do. You don't even know what I'm doing. I'm making choices that are based off of hundreds of hours of experience, so I'm not even thinking about the choices I'm making. Although I have mentioned it, I would say from day 1, from moment 1, your number 1 priority is food and water. If you don't eat and drink, you're just gonna die. That's plain and simple. If you don't eat and drink, you'll get sick, you'll get a cold, you will die faster. When you start hitting the low hunger and thirst, you're going to die faster, get sicker faster. Everything is trying to kill you. So you should just automatically think food and water immediately. That so much so that you're not even thinking about it, and it becomes not even a thing that you would mention when you're working or trying to do something like I'm doing. So food, water. The shelter is bullshit. That's something I did self-imposed for fun. Most people, when starting out, a veteran player is going to go straight past the coast, straight past the town, into the interior of the map and start working towards a military area, getting geared up, doing that. It always depends on your playstyle. If you're a guy who wants PvP and action, you're not going to be able to just load into the map and get that. But you can load into the map, get to the areas that'll give you the best options for gearing up, and then you go out and you get whatever your version of PvP is. That's how a lot of people play. It's how a majority of people play. For me, DayZ is a survival game. And as such, the map was designed to survive, to kill you. The other players are just an aspect of it that is a natural part of a zombie apocalypse type situation. But I have always wondered, well, what if I was the last man? What if I had to survive? In real life, you're not going to have the same sort of scenarios going down. However, DayZ offers some encounters and scenarios that are not possible in any other game and are so realistic to what would be true to life, because people are allowed to sort of be themselves and be real. Like some of them are a little sadistic and get out their inner demons, but for the most part, you could really live out a true survival experience in this game, and that's what I strive for. So, that little digression aside, your main focus, priority, is actually just straight up this bar. This is the game, right down here. You keep this in the white, and you're good. I treat it like a stoplight. I treat it like a traffic signal. White is green. White, you're good to go. Everything's fine. Something hits yellow, you either need to speed up or slow down. But that depends on the scenario. You know, you might need to slow down and fix the situation, or you might need to just hurry up with what you're doing and get back somewhere so you can fix the situation. Depends on that situation. And red means stop, motherfucker. Stop and figure out what the heck is going on. If something is red, you got a problem. Now, if you're in a firefight and something's red, that makes sense. That's why, you know why, but if food gets red, water gets red, if your health gets red, if your blood gets red, those are all moments you need to stop and go, okay, what is going on? How do I fix it? What can fix it? And do I have any options within the amount of time that it's going to take me to just die if I do nothing? And so that bar is going to be basically your priority. But with that in mind, those are all things that that's kind of like the DNA, you know? You don't think about what your DNA is doing. It's just doing it. And that is what is the key to the game. So, obviously, food. Once you have established the ability to either find enough food to survive a while, or you have the implements such as a sharp blade for cutting up animals and a way to kill an animal, chickens are going to be your best friend. When you hear a chicken, go for it. If you're trying to just survive, but it's not worth going for it if you don't have the way to cook it, cut it up, clean your hands, do all the things that are necessary. So again, everything in DayZ has a bunch of steps to it, and if you don't know all those steps, the game looks real easy to somebody who knows all the steps and you're watching them. But there are a lot of things to take into consideration along the way. And that also dictates all the things that you pick up, where you look, what you do. So you're starting out and you've got nothing. You got minimal storage, and if you're lucky, you're near a town and you can start picking houses. The old way of doing things used to be, if you spawn on the coast, there are boats on the coast, and you just go up and down the boats, and you will get soda and a few things to help you survive and get you onto the next spot. However, it does seem to have evolved, and I don't find any food. Well, as of yet, I haven't found zero food. So far, it has been all dry bags. Now, I might be on the wrong part of the beach, but it used to be cans of food, cans of drink, a lot of sodas. But that has not been the case. So I would say, wherever you spawn in, it dictates what you do next. But you need to be working on food. And if you don't know the map, that's another problem. If you spawn into the map and you don't know where you are, where do you go? You might be 10 feet from a building or a city that you cannot see, and you go the other way, and it's another 3 miles until you get to another place. You might have a small village in the city, or I'm sorry, in the woods, just near you, and you don't realize it. So being familiar with the map takes time. Just looking at the map is not enough. Looking at the town maps with both names on it is not enough. It helps to look at the town maps because it gives you a red dot where your location is, and that can help you in the future as well as at the moment, because once you know where you're at on the map and you know other areas, you can sort of orient yourself to it, and that's important. But again, these are all things that, for me, it's sort of second nature. I know how to use compasses and read maps. I know how to visualize where I'm at in space and time. And I know how to sort of make a guideline for a long trek through, wilderness and through countryside to get to another area. I have mentioned before, it's easy to get off track by a degree or two and end up way off course. But if you have the right implements, usually just the compass, it's enough to keep you on course. And speaking of compasses, It's really easy. They're both the same. All you need to know about a compass is that the red part is pointing north. Don't worry about anything else. The red part points north. You point yourself with the red part, and now you are pointing north. And now, all you have to say to yourself is, never eat shredded wheat. North, east, south, west. And you do it in a clockwise direction, and you're good. Never eat shredded wheat. That's how we always learned it. I know there are several different sayings for it, but that's the one you're getting here. All right, so that is my tips for day 1. Obviously, this is day 4, but that's my tips for, like, how do you start? Where do you go? What do you do? It's really hard to say. It depends on where you're at and getting familiar with the map. If you're a newbie, I 100% suggest going into the community maps or even to the official maps and finding low population or zero population servers just to familiarize yourself. There's no shame in playing the game solo or with little possibility of interaction just so you can learn how to play the game, survive, and do all that. It honestly is my biggest tip, and not everybody can go out and rent a server or deal with all that, and that's fine. And you don't need to, because there are a lot of community servers that people have open that never have people on them, as well as there are times and servers in different locations that you can find that have really low populations and you have no problem. The only problem with official servers is the loot is not realistic. It's crap. If the server has been active for a while and it hasn't been a wipe really recently, then the loot is going to be screwed. They've done so many things to try and fix the loot economy. They've done so many things to try and, like, make duping not matter or to prevent it or stop it, and it's just, you're not going to be able to. So my experience has always been on official servers that the loot is just not what it should be, which does make getting good loot really rewarding. Like, you do feel good when you find something that you need or something like that is rare, because you're just like, oh my god, how did I find this? And it makes, the PvP more of a part of the game, because if you want to get something, you got to find other people who have it and take it from them. But that's my tips as far as, like, being a new player. If you want to get better, get familiar with the game, there are a million people making content and who have made content on the game. Wobo is a great source of, like, everything. That guy just breaks it down to you, gives you everything you need to know about every update and every aspect of the game, and that would probably be my suggestion if you want to, like, know the weird shit and know the nerd stuff. That's your guy. Otherwise, this is going to be just like I said, a natural solo adventure survival experience. I have no idea how long I'm going to live. I have no idea where I'm going. In fact, that's conversation number 2 for today. Is we're getting to the middle of the week here. We got 3 more days after this, and then it's off to a new location. Now, obviously, I'm going to be taking some stuff with me on my way. I will leave most of it here as sort of a, like, hey, maybe if I do die, I'll have a home base that I can, spawn towards. But I digress again. I'm going to take my fence kit and, like, my materials for building, because obviously that'll give me a leg up in the next town. The biggest issue I had with my side project here was that I have to get the implements. That's why base building is actually a very last in-game thing, because to even deal with the problems that come with building a base, you need to have everything else in a row and taken care of, because you need tools, you need resources, you got to find nails, you got to find boards. You don't have to find the boards, you either have to make them or find the board stacks. You got to have the saws or the tools to make boards. You got to have a hammer for hammering things to build it when you get to the wall part. Like, there's a lot of aspects. So, like, again, that goes back to what do I pick up? What do I grab? And when you're starting out, like, what you should pick up is dictated by what you absolutely need. You need a knife, you need a melee weapon, you need a gun, you need ways to heal yourself and feed yourself, and you need more storage. And in this case, you also need like insulation. Like, the type of clothing you wear and choose will also determine like how well you're going to do, because if you're getting rained on and all your clothes are wet all the time and you have bad insulation, you're always going to be cold. So, you know, you have to like really, if you're playing for reals, you got to take into consideration all of your clothing options and all of your choices, because even something as simple as your pants and your shirt can make a difference in how warm and how sick and how long you can survive for, especially if it's raining all the time, or you have to swim and you get cold, or it's like the time of year that it's colder weather. These things all make a difference. So things to all keep in mind, even though starting out your priority is really food, water, weapons. Food, water, weapons, because you need to be able to eat, drink, and attack and defend. That's basically it, because everything else is a side project. Everything else comes after that, because it doesn't matter how many walls you want to build or how many hammers and nails you have. If you're dying because you have no food, you're going to spend the time looking for food. And that goes back to, like I said, chickens are your best friend, because you hear a chicken, almost every town you're in has an active chicken around at any given moment. So you just listen for that sound and you love it. It's glorious. The deer and the elk are great meals, but gosh darn it, they are so hard to track down and figure out. If you have a good headset on with good audio, then it's way easier. You can find them. I will give you this tip. The louder they are, they may seem like they're right next to you or in your ear, but they are most certainly not. And they are usually further than you think, even when they get loud. However, you can get close enough to them that you start hearing their feet and their footsteps and their clip-clops. And that sounds weird. And then you get freaked out, and then you turn around and the deer is right in your face. So both of those things are possible, but usually they're not worth chasing, is my point. Because unless you are ready and you see it right away, it's not worth chasing, because you're going to lose a lot of resources and energy, especially if you're already starving. Editor Bo's out here, and I just wanted to stop and prove my point real quick, since it's been a boring lecture so far. Here's a little fun stuff. And there he was once again, my beautiful spiky bastard of a buck, taunting me. Oh my god, he's right there again! He's right there again! Okay, breathe. We got the crossbow. We're ready. Come on. Oh, I don't know how to aim this fucking thing. Got this. Okay, we don't got this. Okay, breathe. It's silent. He didn't hear it. Come on. Oh, come on. this is all I got, so I guess I'm gonna have to use it. Where did he go? Oh my god. He was right there at that bush and I lost him. I fucking lost him. What the fuck? He didn't move. Am I just not seeing him? Am I not seeing him? What the heck? Okay, well, we've got a ninja deer here. Fucking Grandmaster elk. Fucking the Hokage or whatever it's called. The elk Hokage. Jesus Christ. I don't know, I'm not a fucking weeb. Where the hell did this guy go? Oh! Shit, 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 shit. I hate this fucking silencer. Oh, well, there goes that. Oh my god. Alright. I'm not going to put this in. Nobody saw that. However, if you're really good on food and you're not worried about dying from it, chase away. It's a great, great part of the game. It's one of my favorite aspects of the game is the hunting. It's almost could be its own game, just hunting. Let's see what else. Fishing is your best friend. I would say, and I've said it before, and I have not gotten to it yet because I haven't gotten all the implements I needed, but I'm almost there. Once I do, fishing rod, fishing hook, worms, and a knife. And you're pretty much infinite fishing because you can make hooks and bone knives with fish bones. So as long as you're catching fish, you can dig up worms, make the knife, make the hook when you need to, reattach it, go back out, fish some more, and you just sit there and you can do this cycle of making fishing over and over and over. And it's probably your best source of like easy meals, especially if you can manage to keep a fishing rod on you. It does take up space. It is one of the lesser held onto items by most people, but if you're a survivor, you're gonna have a fishing rod on you. And even if you don't, you can make one pretty easily. But again, you have to have the right things. You need a long stick, you need a rope. And as we've seen, rope is not the easiest thing to come by. And it just depends on your luck. There are ways to make the rope, so even that is a possibility. It's just fishing is a great source of food because you don't have to do anything. You don't spend any resources. You find a source of water and you just sit there and do what I said. Dig up worms, make knives and hooks as needed, and get your fish. Cut your fish up, clean them, and keep going, and then you go back and cook it. You can even bring a cooking setup and do it all in one spot. And it's a great way to feed yourself. But you don't start off getting that ability. And if you do start off being able to do that right away, like it's a lucky start. And that's how the game goes. A lot of times it's just all about how you start and what you're able to do with what you have around you. And again, philosophy time, that's the name of the game. What can you do with what you've got around you and what you have? That's survival. You adapt, you overcome, you figure it out. And part of that is knowing what everything does, how to do everything you need to do, and then being prepared to do any of those given things, given a set of priorities determined by either your needs or your wants. And so there's a lot of things you may or may not pick up. You might grab a screwdriver because you might think, hey, I'm going to do some raiding or something later where I might need to like use a screwdriver. Otherwise, screwdriver's junk. Nails, that's junk. Unless you're building a base, nails are junk. But if you're building a base, nails are like the rarest thing on the map. Yeah, there's a lot of items that like you don't use for anything, but if you do need them, they're important and they're, you know, useful, and you would pick them up to use them. Otherwise, most things you don't need to pick up. And so again, it just goes back to like your choices, your decisions, your priorities, and your needs. And as long as you've got the bases covered, water and food and weapons, and you're not worried about like running out of shoes or anything else like that, you have rags, you have, you know, everything you need. You have gloves on so that if you do kill an animal, you can skin it and eat it without having to worry about washing your hands. There's a lot of aspects in the game that, like, if you don't know them, you won't figure them out until each one comes up. And that's how most people used to learn the game, is by just playing it, and you live until you die, and then you don't make that mistake again, and then you die again from something that you didn't know how to do, and then now you know how to do it, so you don't die from that again, and you just get better and better and better. It helps having, obviously, prior knowledge of like survival skills or philosophies of survival, or like Boy Scouts or military. If you have that background, it seems a lot of people that are drawn to this game and this game type have some real world applications, because this game offers you some really, really intense, like I said before, situations and encounters that you can't get anywhere else in any other game. Like, it's as close to like real life as it gets, as far as like a 2D flat game where you're, you know, using controllers and you can third person peek. That's why most people who play seriously play in first person only, because third person is like a cheating mechanic basically, and it ruins fights. I go back and forth between it on my playthrough because I like fashion. And I like to see my character and the things I'm wearing and doing. But when I'm like playing the game, I like to play in first person because it's the realism. And that's what you want when you're playing DayZ, is like that realism. So it's a lot of talking for day 4. Not a lot of humping. I humped your ears with my words. And I appreciate anybody who's still here listening. I appreciate everybody who's been watching, commenting, and liking. I wasn't sure what to do here. And I'm still gonna be figuring out the flow, but you know, here we are, day 4, Kamyshovo, as I say, Kambiwobo, and we have a decision, blah blah blah, abila. I'm having strokes. We have a decision ahead of us, and that's going to be clockwise or counterclockwise on the map. Do I go up the east side, or do I keep going down and to the west side of the coast? And I believe the next town is Electro. It's called Electro. It has a much bigger name, which we will get to later when we get there. Obviously, I'll discuss naming conventions since mine are different than everybody else's. But everybody knows Electro and Chernarus. So those are the next 2 big towns near us if we go clockwise. And so that's a decision I haven't made yet. Something else I wanted to talk about was that island that we went to previously. They moved that. That wasn't there before. It was in a different location. They've updated it. And I got to thinking, if you were really actually determined to start on an official server, and you wanted to kind of play like this, and you want to have like a more survival experience to your DayZ, but you also kind of want to be out of the way, that island might be the best place that you could build on, because that little backside of it that had the little town with the seaside town with the water, you had a well, you have houses, you have loot. You also have the ability to sit there and fish. And so it's almost like it would be a nice hidden self-sustained base that you could set up. And you have to imagine that not too many people are going to be making the trek and the swim across that channel to get to the island, especially fresh spawns. If they do, what are they going to do? Say, oh, this guy's got a base here. Cool. But they're fresh. They can't do anything. Maybe camp you out, you know, figure it out. No big deal. Otherwise, you know, not too many people are going to be making their way over to that. The castle wasn't worth the loot. So you're dealing with fresh spawns and trolls who find it and wait for you. Otherwise, I think it might be the best place, like near the coast and spawning, that you could build a base right there on that island in that back city. Well, not city, but you know what I mean. Those couple of houses by the water, by the watering hole, whatever you want to call it, the well. I think that might be the best place to make a permanent, like, attempt at a base. Because most people are going to be coming to that island, are going to go to the castle, if anything, and that's it. They might be going over to your well, because obviously they made that trek and they might need the water and whatnot, and if they know that well is there, they're gonna go try to refill. But if you use the tactics that keep your base pretty, you know, secure and hidden, for the most part, they either are gonna pass it up or they won't bother with it because it's not worth it. Either way, just a thought I had when I was editing the other day, and I realized, man, this place is actually perfect. If you had everything you needed, you got it right there. You just hang out, and when you need to go on your adventures, you go. You swim across and you go. It's not a big swim. It's not too big of a deal. Like, it would not be too big of a hassle to have an island to yourself that's pretty self-sustained and kind of like annoying to get to, so most people will not bother. That being said, I guarantee you, if you go on official servers, you'll probably find some remnants of bases on the island on every single server. So there you go. It's both a good idea and a bad idea, but it's just something I thought of. Otherwise, today's been, like I said last episode, day 3. Now we need nails, and that is up to the gods, so we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, I've just been doing my normal thing, searching the town, making sure I check all the houses and nooks and crannies, and then looking for a place to search nearby. Like I said, I'm not going to Electro, I'm not going to the big city, because like we're gonna be going to those and spending time. I'm just trying to get stocked up. Look at our inventory here. I mean, we've collected quite a bit of random crap and things that will be useful at some point, but aren't really useful, or you might not pick them up in a normal game. Like I've said today, like most of the time you're picking shit up that you're absolutely gonna need and you have a plan for, which I have kind of open plans because I don't have to worry about getting killed and losing my loot, and I don't have to worry about so much what I'm carrying and how to juggle it. I just have to make sure that I get myself back home so I can depot. Otherwise, you know, your choices are always determined by what's going on around you in this game. DayZ is such a great like experience. It has so much like Zen philosophy to it that applies. There are so many ways in which an encounter or a scenario, if you apply Buddhist or, you know, Zen techniques to it, you're going to get through it just fine. Especially when it comes to losing your loot and dying. A big part of this game is, if you're playing on officials, is always going to be losing your loot, fear of losing your loot, dying, fear of dying, and that all plays into Zen Buddhism. And if you apply it to the game, you're going to do just fine. That's honestly how I managed a combination of, well, you know, 40 years of video game playing combined with survival and basic like outdoors knowledge combined with you know, zombie survival knowledge, and you just kind of mix it all together. Boy Scouts, like I've said, you know, all those aspects, and Zen and Buddhism and philosophy, and it all kind of combines together and to how you play the game. Some people just want to go and kill, and that's fine. You know, some people see this game, they're like, all they can think about is ruining somebody's day because they killed them with an inventory full of loot. And that's fine. Like, it is a game. It's pixels. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It is part of the game. I'm not knocking it, and I never have. However, as a player, my style has always been like, I want to be left. I'm a hermit. You know, I want to be a hermit. I want to survive. I'm like, oh, this game is cool. The world's trying to kill me. It's so hard to survive. And then every time you learn a new aspect of survival in the game, you don't even get to enjoy it because somebody's killing you. Every time you see something new, you don't get to enjoy it because, oh, there's gunshots real close. Like, that's the name of the game. Some people love it. And to me, it has its time and place. And I've done it. I have well over 1,000 hours in this game. I've done it all. I've done PvP specific servers where it's just airfield and you just pick up guns, load with guns. PvP festival. Honestly, speaking of that, I would suggest that if you want to learn how to do PvP good in the normal base game. If you want to learn how guns handle, how to move around, how to engage in firefights at a fast pace and high pace, I suggest finding those PvP airfield servers and trying your luck. Be prepared to die. Don't worry about keeping anything. Just learn how to do what you can with what you pick up. And that's basically it. So that's today's episode. And day 4, it's hump day. You know, we kind of took a chill pill. And I'm actually talking before I finished playing the day and everything. I just had things I wanted to say, apparently 30 minutes worth. So right about now, we're going to find out if we ever did find any nails, and if we did build that wall, and if there is a challenge ahead of us after building the wall with nails. We'll see what's up. Anyway, that was my piece, and I'll see you in just a second, I guess. And I'm back. So here's the deal, guys. Didn't find any nails. Spent a good 4 hours playing, and we went to all the towns that we've been to in the previous days. I went to Turna, Tenra, Tolga, whatever, and then Mikta, Mista. Why didn't I call it that in the first place? Mista. Hey, Mista. Hey, Mista. So we went to Mista, we went to Tolga, we went to all of those surrounding areas, and no nails. No nails. I looked in every shed, every place there could be nails. I looked. Cars, sheds, any industrial looking spots, all of them. Checked them all. Nothing. No nails. As you saw, we got teased by the deer again, so he's on the fucking fuck list because I'm going to kill him. And that's about it. I think after all of that, I've decided the next trip that we're going to make is going to be to another small town directly to our west. We're just going to like wake up, run west, and hit a town. I think it's called Comenta. The name on the map and the name that I say and the name in English are not going to be the same until we get there and look at it all. But that is for the next day. So tomorrow, day 5, we'll make another trek to a new little area. And maybe we'll find nails there. Maybe we won't. Who cares? I have a few things on my list. The new gun they added, a DMR, a what is it? A M1A SOCOM or whatever you call it. Or it's a fucking M14. I don't know. It's a DMR, and it's one of my favorite real life guns, and it's in the game. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know where you get it. I don't know any of the specifics. I know it's military and it's new, so it's probably going to be hard to find unless we get lucky, which so far the luck has been sort of slap you in the face, then kiss you, then slap you in the face again. And that's DayZ. It's a kiss and a slap all in the same time, but you like it because you're a sadistic son of a bitch. And with that, I say thank you for joining me on day 4. More of a lecture than a playthrough. And hopefully you learned something. Leave likes, comments, subscribe, all those things. That would be great. I love it. I'm getting a lot of views on these videos. I love that too. So keep it up. Otherwise, as always, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Bye. What was that, honey? Oh, yeah. Hey, your mom wants you to subscribe if you could, please. Thank you.